Hello everyone. In this episode of Pro Experience Sharing, we have Antriksh, a very close friend of mine with us who works as a product manager at Verizon. And in this episode, you will get to know about his experience of working at Verizon, how to get through in product roles in big tech firms, and most important interview questions. So please stay with us till the very end if you are interested in making a career in product management. All right. So before we get started, we are coming up with many such interviews every week. And if you are interested in knowing what exactly top professionals do on day-to-day basis, please subscribe our channel.
So Antriksh, can you brief us about yourself and how did you end up getting into product role?
So if you think about it, my profile has been a little bit of a mix and match. I did my engineering in electrical engineering. I ended up in a technology company where I worked for around 2 years. After that, I did my MBA from NITIE Mumbai. Post that, I actually landed up in my previous role, where my primary role was that of a business analyst. And then slowly and steadily, I started to progress into a much more aligned towards a product experience. And that's how I ended up in my current role in the organization. So I work with Verizon Communications right now. Verizon, if you talk about Verizon, it's the second largest telecom organization in the US. And my role typically over here is that of a product manager aimed at creating the chatbot experiences for our customers.
Okay.
So if you think about how I landed in this role, a lot about my role has to do with the business analysis work that I did in my previous organization. So I started as a BA. I was able to understand the customer problem, break them down into use cases, work along with my development team, and get things developed and shipped out to the customers. So post that, I did a number of attended a number of webinars, did a number of courses. I actually did a certification as well from Scrum Alliance. So that kind of honed my profile in a fashion which was much more aligned towards product management. And then I applied for roles elsewhere. I was able to secure a job with Verizon on those lines, where they were looking for a product manager with a certain type of experience, and my profile actually matched 1-to-1.
Yeah.
And that's how I ended up in my current.
So Antriksh, weren't the HRs or the hiring managers reluctant in selecting you for a product role? Because a lot of the HRs have a bias towards hiring previous product managers. And most of them, at least whatever I have seen in LinkedIn and other places, that they think that the people who are doing certifications or like attending webinars, they don't have the real product experience.
Right. Yeah. That's actually a valid point, because product management is nothing that can be taught. It's not taught in any of the schools right now in India, at least. Of those, it's mostly a course that people take up as a as aspiration, really. So when I started applying for these roles initially, and there used to be a problem, the HRs or the recruiting managers always used to look for a particular type of experience when they were hiring a product manager. And so it's more about how you align your profile, how you make your profile in a fashion that it appeals to the recruiting manager in a way that the kind of work that they're expecting, you have those kind of credentials attached to yourself. So as I said, I did a number of certification, I did a number of course. They don't really tell about the type of or the kind of experience that a person might have in the product management space. But what I did was, apart from that, I picked up a number of capstone projects from GitHub and all. These were the repositories which kind of helped me, pick up real world business problem. I was able to break them down into assimilable solutions, which were easy for us, easy for the developers to then go ahead and build. So it's actually more about, how you are able to break down a business problem or break down a customer problem, I would say, because many of the products are aligned towards the customer. So if you're able to break down those problems well enough, you'll be able to crack a particular interview. What actually happens many times, many of these interview questions are asked you for a case study, which tends to gauge you on the product management lines. And if you perform well in those case studies, there's absolutely nothing that can stop you from landing that particular job.
So basically, what I have understood is that it is not just about attending like one or the other webinar and complete a checklist, but also along with doing all of these activities, maybe blending yourself into becoming a product management and essentially understanding where exactly the problem of a customer lies, if I have understood it correctly.
Exactly, and it's also about walking the walk and talking the talk of a product manager. So if you're not able to let's say a very simple thing that someone throws at you and you're not able to break it down in an interview, definitely it will reduce your chances of being recruited as a product manager. But if you're able to go past beyond that, you will be able to land possibly the job that you have been aspiring for.
Great. So, Antriksh, I have one question that I get from a lot of students. Can you describe like how does a usual work day or rather work week looks like? I mean, at least like in your organization, what kind of work do you do on a regular basis?
Right. So, product management role typically are very different from the organization to organization, and my work day might be different from someone else. So my work, as I told you, I am working in the chatbot space. I am working in creating new features for my chatbot, as well as rectifying any problems that the chatbot might be having, which the customers are actually, since they are the end users, those customers might be facing some problems related to the product that I have. So my typical workday starts with analyzing the voice of customer, which is, customer feedback, the way they are responding, the way they are handling, the way they are using the chatbot. And so I take a point in time, I go back, moment in time, actually, I go back and look at the chat transcript, customer data, understand what is happening, take out patterns, see the transaction that the customers have been trying to do with the chatbot, and then understand their problems, if at all they have any problem with that. Then I create my recommendations, break them down into user stories. In the field of product management, everything tends to drill down to user stories. So any problem, any feature, or any new thing that you are trying to develop, those are broken down into stories, is what we say. And these stories could be very simple. As a manager, I want to log into my app. So as simple as that, right? So then after breaking those stories down, I work along with my development team. I elaborate the stories. I talk to them, tell them, this is what I'm planning to make. I align my vision according to their expectations, and as well as I work along with the architects who kind of help in developing the overall solution, much in line with the architecture of the organization. And then we work in developing those features, or let's say rectifying the problem that we were having. And then I also look at the metric to see if whatever I've developed is actually working or performing to the expectation that we had. There are a lot of metrics that we look at, and customer satisfaction is one of those metrics for the chatbot. So we look at customer satisfaction on a regular basis, if it is getting improved by the changes that we are making, or going down by the changes we are making, and then we course correct accordingly.
So for our listeners, we are now moving into a rapid fire round in which we'll give to the point and direct answer of each question that is so relevant for the person interested in knowing about a career in product management. All right.
Right.
Yeah. So the first question that I have, Antriksh, is do you think there are enough number of opportunities in product role? Because there are a lot of people who are scouting to get into from a number of roles that they are working right now.
Oh, definitely. They're like, if you think about just plain numbers, there it is around 32% growth in the requirement for product managers in India, not global. This is in India. That's a number that I was just reading through. So 32% definitely is a good number in the amount of roles that are coming up. And with the advent of a lot of product organizations, in India, as well as many of the global organizations opening their offices in India. Definitely, this is going to improve even further.
So, if I am a product aspirant, okay, then what kind of questions do you think I can expect in an interview?
Sure. Okay. So, what a recruiting manager or a hiring manager is looking at when they're interviewing for a product manager is your alignment towards how you understand a customer as well as the customer problem. So your mindset is what actually matters. So
Okay.
the question that they can have is, how would, let's say you have a product, how would you list down the features of those products? What all would you do? What would be your methodology? They're not looking for actual features really. What they're looking for is your methodology, because this is something that you learn on the job, right? If your approach is correct, then more than likely you will be able to clear that question. So for example, let's say someone says, I'm creating a mobile app, give me the list of, how would you go about doing a list of features? So you can simply say, I'll probably do a secondary research as well as a primary research. I look at the competition, do a competitive benchmark. I look at my stakeholders, what all they would be looking at to make a particular application, and I also look at my organization vision and strategy. So that these things tend to add up to your questions. So this is one type of question that you can expect. The other thing can be which is kind of quite relevant for product management interviews is the case studies. So again, those kind of align you, those kind of help the recruiting manager to gauge your level of alignment towards a product role.
Okay. So are there any resources that you think people should refer to, as in any online website, blog, or any books that you think people should actually look into?
Sure thing. Actually, there are a number of resources. So YouTube is something that I refer to quite often. Apart from that, there is a website called productschool.com, which starts from very basic and then moves you ahead into an advanced product management space. Apart from that, a lot of courses are available on Udemy and all the other platforms. I can actually ask Vijay to link a few of those courses in the description of this video.
Sure.
Along with that, there are a number of books that I have read. So Ship It is one of the books. Ship It talks about the real life experiences of all the Silicon Valley product managers. And it's kind of a really nice, foray into how or what the product managers really do on their regular jobs. Yeah. Along with that, Product Mindset is one book which I read, and it kind of helped me as well. It tends to create the whole mindset around a product management role. So product management is like, I would say 80% of your mindset and 20% of your execution. So if you have your mindset aligned towards this, there is a whole mindset behind a product management role. If you have yourself aligned towards that, more than likely you'll be able to score a job in product management.
Sure. So what I will do is that I'll link all of those books as well as the resources that you just talked about in the description of this video. Yeah. So this one question, one last question that I have here is that where do you see a product manager growing in the career? Because at least to my memory, so there is a product manager, and then I don't know. So there's an end of it. So at least in startup there is a CEO. But do you think there is a proper hierarchy that is available in big companies like Verizon?
Yes. So what I have in Verizon might be different from other organizations, but I have a few friends who are working product roles in other organizations as well, and it is kind of similar in a fashion. Your progress generally starts as an associate product manager. So you're fresh out of college, you join as an associate product manager, where your work is typically to understand really what actually a product manager is doing, and maybe even help them in certain assignments. Yeah. Then you move on, you become a product manager, and where you might be handling a number of features or even a product. Then you become a senior product manager, where you might be handling a number of features. So a product manager would be handling one particular feature or one particular product, but as a senior product manager, you might be handling, let's say 10 different product managers who are handling 10 different features, and then they are adding up to one product. and then you become like a head of product management or a product, chief product officer, something like that. In smaller organization, you tend to become a chief product officer, where, let's say, for example, Microsoft has a role for a chief product officer, where a person is purely responsible for the Microsoft Office, right? And he has a number of senior product managers, and those senior product managers would have a number of product managers who are working under below them, and helping build the overall Microsoft Office suite. So that's how it has been typically aligned in Verizon as well. You start as a product manager, and then you slowly move on, and you become we don't have a chief product role here, but yeah, you typically become like a head of products.
Great. So thank you, Antriksh, for joining us in this episode of Pro Experience Sharing.
Yeah, sure thing. I think I was helpful in the questions, and if at all anyone has any sort of questions related to product management, they can definitely reach out to me. Especially, I'll leave my Twitter or LinkedIn handle along with this video description. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Antriksh. We'll do so.
Thank you.